Saturday morning, I have a buddy coming over. We're going to work on his BMW wagon together. Should be fun. I picked up a Stihl weed whacker this morning, FS94R. It's kind of weird. I don't really need it, but California has outlawed the sale of gas small engine products. So I thought, well, before I can't get one, I might as well get one. So I picked that up. And I got this. This is my first glove box. So glove box is a detailing subscription. And I thought that I would open this on camera and see what it's like together. This box is sealed. Glove box is like $35 a month. It's supposed to have like $50 worth of cleaning supplies in it. And I thought, well, if I'm doing all of these reviews anyway, and I'm just kind of randomly deciding what I want to showcase, why not have somebody else randomly decide it for me and save a little bit of money? So we've got some paper on the top, and okay, so this is from Purist. Awesome. We've got a Purist microfiber towel. Looks like a really soft towel. Purist pH neutral shampoo, S3. Purist W1 wheel cleaner and iron remover. 2 sprayers. Purist protection and gloss. Use on a wet surface for quick and easy coating. Okay. And Purist. Well, the joys of home ownership. So I just had this weird thing happen. On my water system, I have this gauge that shows my input pressure. And normally it's around 60, and I use a pump to raise it to 80 because the RO system is more efficient at 80. And today, without the pump on, it's at 100, or, well, over 100. Like, absolutely pegged. And that's a problem because 100 is dangerous for your pipes. That's when pipes start blowing apart in your ceiling. So I tried to adjust my water regulator outside and it does not go down. So I ended up buying a regulator, which is right here. $130 later, I have the same model regulator that I already had outside. This is a Zurn 3/4 inch 70XL. The bummer about this is they make a cartridge that you can fix it. Like, it's a repairable, serviceable thing. And Home Depot sells the units, but not the cartridges. So this is something that needs to be done now. I ran to Home Depot at night to get this resolved. And all right, so here's what comes in the kit. It's got arrows, so there's one direction it goes. It can take 300 PSI of inputs, and then on the output side, it can go up to 75 PSI. This is here, the range is 25 to 75. The input is 300. So here are 2 O-rings that come with it, and there are these threaded ends that thread onto 3/4 inch pipe. So my goal is I'm just gonna remove these, pull this out, and put the new one in without replacing these. So see if we can do that. All right, so here we are outside. I picked this up. This is a pressure testing gauge. So we're gonna tighten this up here. It'll give us a good visual of what's actually going on. So if we turn this on, you can see there what our pressure is at. And I tried loosening this, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. So let's remove that. Test again. You can see we're still at 110. So we can't seem to drop this off. So let's remove this. We'll shut off our main, which is right here. And this is going to basically empty the pressure that's in the house. Make it easier for me to take these 2 bolts off. So get to use the iRega wrench that I talked to you guys about. Like I said, I do like it. There we are. So we'll look at this inside and we'll take it apart. So the new one's going to go in just like the old one went out, but I'm going to do it with 2 hands. So I got that in. It's really a 2-handed job. You have to lift up on the one while you push down on the other. So this should be a 50 psi reduction when I turn this on. So we should see something like 60. So we were at 110. Now we're just under 50. So we'll reduce this. There's like a nut here. And basically the way this works is the more you tighten it, the higher the pressure goes. So if we want to go up, we should okay, so we're at 60. My goal here is 70. It's a good number. So I'll shut this off. Remove this. All right, so we've made sure that this isn't leaking. This is dry. We'll check on it again tomorrow just to make sure, but pipes look good. This is dry up here. Turn the water on, but I didn't really get much air out of the system. So I'm guessing the water softener absorbed it. So that's that. Exciting night. All right, so loosen this up. This is where that cartridge is supposed to be that's replaceable. Okay, well, I guess we understand why it failed. Well, that's that. Anytime I'm using a tool in the wet, I'll throw some WD-40 on it just to keep from having rusting issues. So it's Friday, May 24th, about 5 p.m. Just finished washing the Mercedes, the GLC300. That's always, like I said, kind of the first car that I wash going into the weekend. So I'm trying to get some things done ahead of schedule. I got all my work done for the day, and I pretty much done working for the week, I think. I'll probably check my email tomorrow, but so, you know, going into the weekend, I've got 4 dirty cars. The Honda's the dirtiest of them. So I did the SLC first because I always make sure that her car is clean. And then tomorrow, a friend of mine is coming by. His name is Micah, and he's been here before, but never on camera. But he just bought his wife a GLC300, a 2021. So it's Mercedes, black paint, black interior. We're going to do a paint correction, and we're going to do a ceramic coating on it. I have Cerakote here, so we're going to try this out. Originally, Pan the Organizer did a video on Cerakote and talked about, he did like a whole tour of their facility and stuff like that, and that was fairly cool. And it piqued my interest, but he mentioned something like they were just giving out test samples for anybody who was interested. So I signed up for a test sample, and it sat on my shelf here for a good 2 or 3 months, and then they sent out an email saying that there were some issues with the original samples that they sent out, and that they had to adjust the formulation and submit new samples. So it's actually kind of cool that I didn't try it out. So I emailed them and said, hey, I never tried it. Should I wait, or like what do I do here? And they said, well, we'll send you a new one. So we're going to put that on his new GLC. It's actually kind of a win-win because I have a couple ceramic coatings to test out, and I just did the the white diamond stuff, it's done. And it's good to go, actually. And I went very well. I like it. It's on the Honda. So I finished up that series. It'll actually be out Sunday. Today's Friday. I still have the Cerakote one to try. I still have Armor Detail Supplies Pro Coating to try. And then Ivan LaCroix just sent me the new C6. So I'm interested in trying that as well. So I need more cars to put ceramic coatings on, and I'm not a detailer. And I don't want to get into like cleaning other people's dirty cars, if that makes sense. Like, it's just not, I have a full-time job. It's not what I want to be doing. I want to be creating content, doing things that I find fun, or it's just going to be, I'm going to get sick of doing the channel, which is not good for anybody. Right now I'm cooking dinner. I have some baked potatoes in the oven, actually. So I'm going to have a baked potato with like some bacon and cheese, and just kind of like a loaded baked potato. I'm back on my diet, at least 2 meals a day. Third meal I'm splurging a little bit, but I want to get back down. I started at 225 a couple years ago, and I got all the way down to like 185, and that was really unsustainable. And then I sat at like 200 to 205 for a while, and that was like a really good weight for me. Actually, it was fairly easy to stay there, and everything was good. And then I kind of got into a slump. I had a lot going on at work. I was doing a lot of like eating out, and then a bunch of holidays and stuff like that. And then I just kind of crept up, and I got to like 220. And it's like, okay, well, you know, I got to stop. So I'm at like 214 right now today. So I should be able to get back down there pretty quick. It's, you know, it's the end of May. I'd say probably by the end of June, I should be back to 205 fairly easily. I just gotta stay on it a little bit better this time. It's hard when you're like in social situations and stuff like that to avoid eating. The diet that worked for me was Noom, Noom. There's an app that you can download, and I paid for it originally. Now I just use the app for like calorie tracking and stuff like that, but it really helped me out. I'm releasing 5 Minute Friday right now, which is 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So that's kind of over here. So just finishing this up. It's going to be on Milwaukee. Milwaukee deals for Memorial Day. A lot of people think you get rich on YouTube. I have affiliation with certain things. Like, for example, I can, I can put a link to Tool Nut, and I can get some kickback if somebody buys something, or if somebody buys something on Amazon, that kind of stuff. But, like, I'm going to put a link in here actually to Home Depot. And Home Depot has this deal right now with the M12 5.0 and the M12 2.5, where you get 2 batteries for 99 bucks. You actually save $200, which is pretty awesome. So like, I'm going to grab this link, and that's going to be in the video. And I get 0 kickback from that, but it's a good deal. So, ideally YouTube eventually makes you money, but if you're going into something like this just to make money, then I think you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Although it's not my job, so if it was my job, maybe it would be. I have another job. So it looks like there's an issue with the link that they sent me, so I have to figure that out now in Impact, which is the software they use. So I end up with a lot of different accounts when it comes to like managing all of the affiliation. So like, I have one for DIY Detail, I have one for Armor Detail Supply, I have one for Obsessed Garage, I have one for Amazon, I have one for Tool Nut, I have one for I don't know, there's a bunch. I have like a dozen different ones. So it can be a bit to like manage all of that. So it turns out that the 15% off Milwaukee Memorial Day sale has already expired. Ad expiration date May 23rd. So this was good like the couple days before Memorial Day. That's super annoying. And then we will schedule this. It's 5:36, so I'll schedule it for 5:45 p.m. And that'll give me a minute to add the monetization, end screen, set end screen to all my videos, which just gives you that whole like, click here for more. All right, so that was pretty boring, and most of it's probably going to get cut. So, rest of the day today. I've got the water tank filling up over here because, like I said, I just watched the Mercedes. So the water tank is filling up, which is the buzzing that you hear in the background. Got Micah coming over tomorrow, the GLC. So I have some stuff out that we're planning to use for that. I'm planning to use, this is Bill Hamburg touchless, and then I've got iron remover, I've got Armor Detail Supply Decon soap, which I don't think I'm going to need that. I think we're just going to use the touchless and then wash it normally. We use Brake Buster. We use the Shine Supply tire cleaner. I like the Armor one better, but I'm still using that up. And then I have panel wipe and eraser and prep. I also have a couple different polishes I want to play around with. It's 3D 520 and 500, the Last Cut Plus, both of which I want to spend a little bit of time with. And then, you know, otherwise we'll use some other things from my cabinet here. These are all opened coatings, so I kind of want to use those up. So if I have an opportunity to use one of those up on something, like use Deluxe on his plastic trim, or use, I don't know, Armor wheel coating on his wheels or something, I'm going to try to use those. I might mess around a little bit with gold standard polish as well. I haven't used that very much, just once or twice. Do still have the Rupes polish that I haven't used yet in here. And so this is chaos in here right now because I've got all this crap all over the place. I need to start working through some of these lines. But I finished up White Diamond, so now I get to work on Koch Chemie Blue next. So we'll work on some of those, maybe some of it tomorrow. I was rearranging my cabinets and kind of sorting things by the types of products they are. So those are all soaps over there. These are all kind of like rinseless and waterless. There's some polishes over here. Then up top, I've got some tire, wheel, panel prep products over in the corner. This cabinet, I've got some more stuff. Organizing. I gave a bunch of my older supplies to Eric so that he could have them. He doesn't live here anymore, but he just got a BMW. Other crap I'm working on. So I'm using my gimbal right now, still playing around with that. I tested out the Last Fit Air. I have to release the video on that, but it's done. It's actually pretty neat. So here's another tester that I was given to try out. This is kind of interesting. It's a an air compressor and a jump pack all in one. So we'll mess around with that on camera. There'll be a video that I'll release on it. I was also given this for testing. This is a Maxi AP2500. It's an Autel USB OBD2 Bluetooth adapter. I enjoy the fact that people send me things to test, especially the kinds of things that I use, like an OBD2 scanner is awesome. I'm to the point that I have 4 of them, so it's not always the easiest thing for me to test, but when it's a, you know, a good brand, Autel, I've used their stuff before. I've had good success with it, you know, always willing to try stuff out. Oh, I'm going to win a Porsche. I forgot to tell you about that. Yeah. So I signed up for a giveaway, Porsche giveaway, 8080. If you're not familiar, maybe you follow them on Instagram, maybe you don't. I was interested in their shirts, and you get tickets to win a Porsche. So a Miami Blue GT3 RS. I got a Save the Manuals shirt as well, interesting. And then I picked up one of their, I got a bottle of glass cleaner basically because I needed the extra couple dollars to get free shipping. But we'll try that out too, see how it is. I'd really like to win a Porsche. I don't know, I've wanted, for as long as I can remember, pretty much since the 718 came out, the 718 came in, I've always wanted a 718 GTS in Miami Blue. Not necessarily a GT4 or a GT4 RS. I mean, those would be cool, but that's a race car. I just want something that I can daily drive that's going to be super awesome. And the GTS, like, the GTS has the power and the tunability. Miami Blue is my favorite color when it comes to Porsche, and then they also have like this orange that they did for a while in like 2016. I forget the name of it, but I like that too. I mean, realistically, I take any color, but my favorites are probably Miami blue, then the orange, then shark blue, then white. And I thought that I was going to buy a Porsche this year, honestly. I had a plan to buy a Porsche this year, but we ended up buying our house, which, for better or worse, that's just what happened. It'll be next year and it'll be a lower value than what I was originally looking at, probably. So my plan right now is the Honda Passport goes back in December. So my last payment for that's in November. So I've got like 5 more payments. I already paid May. And then the Mini, the gray Mini, the JCW, I'm going to put that up for sale and sell that as well. And those two are collectively about $1,000 a month. I pay a little bit extra on both of them than what their payments are. So it's about $1,000 a month out of my pocket. So that should get me into, something like, I don't know, 2016, 2017 Cayman S, or maybe a slightly older, like a 2012, 2013 Carrera S, 911 Carrera S. I've always wanted a Cayman. I don't know why. I've always liked the Cayman better than the 911. Like, I've always wanted a Cayman, but not always wanted a 911. I don't really understand that. The 911 is the superior car. And I don't know, I guess I just like the way the Cayman looks a little bit better. And then I also don't know why a GTS. Like, why do I want a GTS and not a GT4 or GT4 RS? But there probably needs to be a progression there. So I think in my mind, you start off with a Cayman S, Cayman GTS, and then eventually see what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Maybe you go to a 911, maybe you go to something better, like a GT4 or something like that. I don't think that that's ever in the cards for me. I'd have to, it'd be a lot to pull a car like that out of, a household budget, right? My baked potato mess. So I've got potato, cheese, I think it's Jack, A1, which I don't eat A1 on steak, but I eat it on potatoes, bacon, and sour cream. It's definitely a ton of calories, but I lost like 4 pounds this week, so we earned it. And it helps to shock your system, make it so you keep losing. So Saturday morning, Micah's coming by. We're gonna work on the GLC, so I'm just kind of clearing out all the crap in the garage. As you can see behind me, there's stuff all over the workbench here, different things to try, receipts, plumbing stuff from the pipe the other day. I'm still not, kind of done with that, but not quite. So I'm gonna get the Mercedes out of here. Then I'm just gonna empty the workbench until he gets here. It's like 8:20, it's supposed to be here like 8:45, so. So we've got the, kind of tuck that over there, so I end up with like, it's like 15 by 28, something like that. Pretty good size space. Put some of this other stuff away. I don't know if this is annoying or not. The gimbal is following me, so I figured I'd mess around with it. I've never had a cameraman, so I mean, a robot cameraman is better than no cameraman, I think. So the plumbing situation, I changed out the regulator, which you saw in the video earlier, but I noticed that when I was digging everything up that there was a lot of wet on the ground, and I couldn't figure out why, because like the regulator wasn't leaking, but it was wet before I got there.
So I dug into it a little bit more the next day, and what I found is my water from the street comes in from the ground, and then you see that regulator, and the regulator then goes and feeds my house. Well, it turns out below that regulator, under the ground, there's a T, and that T goes off and feeds my irrigation system. So it goes to all of the pipes that feed all of my sprinklers and stuff throughout the house. So that is all before the regulator. So it's like 110, 120, 100, you know, whatever the pressure happens to be at the street that day, that moment. And also there's an on-off valve, but it was buried in the dirt and therefore unable to be turned. Well, I was eventually able to do it, but I had to spray the crap out of a PB blaster. And then there's a joint that's leaking there. One of the PVC fittings is leaking. So I decided that I wanted to bring that up above the ground and just kind of fix it all. Because the leak is actually nonstop. So it was running and running and running. It wasn't a big leak, it was just a small leak, but it was enough to kind of like keep the ground wet, but it was so far under the ground that I couldn't really tell until I noticed this area was wet and it just really didn't seem to get dry. So I had to pick up some 1-inch PVC. I got this, which is like a covering for it, just so this doesn't break down in the sun. I had to get a couple more fittings, like this brass 90 and this, and anyway, I'll show that later on because I'm gonna have to fix it anyway. Right now I don't have any sprinklers. The house has water, everything is fine, but I have no sprinklers until I get this straightened out. This is a Mera VDE set. So I had like 10 different VDE screwdrivers that were just, you know, Phillips, flathead, whatever. And I saw this set, I thought this is pretty cool. So it has 4 flatheads over here. It has, that's kind of annoying. So it has 4 flatheads over here. In the middle, it's got like a square, a triangle, a different size square. There's like meter specialty tools. These are all Phillips, and there's 2, they're not Torx, they're square. And then 2 more Phillips and Posi. What's cool is they give you these handles. So there's 2 of these handles, they're both the same. And you just take whatever tip you want to and stick it in there. And this center section is actually plastic. So the tip is metal, but this section here is plastic. So you don't have to worry about like getting shocked. That's the whole point. So these are good to 1,000 volts. So it's a neat kit. I kind of like stuff like this because it doesn't take up a lot of space in your drawer. I keep having this issue with the DJI app where it's telling me my phone is full, but my phone isn't full. It's got a lot of space free. I don't get it.
In this video, in the parts where we're applying the ceramic coating, I'm not wearing any gloves, and you should be wearing gloves when you're applying a ceramic coating. I went to get the gloves, got sidetracked by something else, started messing around with it, and actually completely forgot about it until after I was done, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't wear gloves for like any of this. Wear gloves, The stuff that is in ceramics can get absorbed into your skin, and it can cause liver, kidney, one of those two issues. So anyway, I'm not a doctor. Just wear gloves. They say it on the box. They say it in the instructions. They say it everywhere. I didn't do it. That's the wrong way to do it. Wear gloves.
Here Micah's using the APS adapters for the Rupes Nano to get behind the door handles. This setup worked actually really well. You can see an after shot here of the door cup. They were pretty scratched up beforehand from fingernails and rings. The driver's side and passenger side front doors were a little bit harder to get clean. Here's a good A to B. So you can see after stage one we have this haziness. That's after using a blue wool pad with some Rupes coarse. This is a more finished section compared to a not touched section. There's a little bit of dust left in the picture. This is later when we're applying the coating. Mike is wiping down the hood with a panel wipe, getting ready for the applicator. I have the applicator in my hand, and we're going to apply the coating in a crosshatch pattern. Like I said, wear gloves. Don't be like me. I'm not wearing gloves. Like I said, I forgot. Castrate me in the comments again. It's fine. But you want to apply and make sure that you get even coverage. The crosshatch pattern is more for even coverage than it is for any sort of technique or anything like that. It's just a good way to ensure that you get 100% coverage. So here I'm doing a section of the hood. Now the working time of the Cerakote is actually about 5 minutes. So because of that, we're able to do the entire hood at once. This is obviously just one section, and then we'll skip forward here to when we're removing the coating and what that looks like. Here, if you look up near the top of the hood, right by the windshield, you can see the Cerakote flashing. It'll go almost transparent, but you'll still see a slight haze when it's completely dry. And that flash would normally mean that it's time to remove it, but for this we waited the entire 5 minutes that they instructed you to before doing the removal process. Now we're at 5 minutes and we're starting the removal using a Rag Company Pearl towel. I use the Pearl Edgeless for this. It is a very soft towel that's not going to mar the paint or leave any scratches behind because it's edgeless. These are an inexpensive towel, about $1 a piece, and when I'm done with the coating, I generally throw these away. I'll keep them for doing random cleanups around the shop, and then use them for an oil change or a wiping off of a hose or something dirty and throw them out when I'm done. You can see the removal's really easy. We're not having to hit the same spots again and again. I like to just flip my rag over, wipe the entire surface off a second time with the other side of the same rag just to make sure that I get 100% removal. But you can see that it's coming off really easy. We're not having to scrub or work hard to remove it. It's a really good working product. Here's a finished look at the car after the Cerakote has been applied to all of the surfaces. We did the windows as well. A pillars, B pillars, all of the plastic parts, the trim plastic around the car, the whole hatch, the glass, plastic bumper, metal paint. Every surface received the Cerakote coverage, and we didn't run any problems with it being rejected by any of the surfaces. It applied really well. It went on very easily, and you're actually able to make really good progress working through the car as you get used to the 5-minute intervals. So we could do like half a car, go back and remove. Here's another video around the car outside the garage in the sun. You can see the gloss is awesome. The slickness was actually really good as well. As the Cerakote set up, the slickness got better over time.
So we corrected and ceramic coated the GLC. It had a working time that was super long, and the drying time was like 5 minutes. So you apply it and let it flash, and it flashes and gets all hazy, and there's the beading and the rainbow effect like every other ceramic coating. But then you like wait and wait and wait and wait, and they tell you 5 minutes in the instructions. And then even after 5 minutes, it's like completely hazed over, and you can still just buff it right off. Really interesting. So we'll see how it holds up, the hydrophobic properties of it and stuff like that. It's hard because I have all these ceramic coatings and I only own 4 cars, so I'm not a professional detailer. So my 2024 Mini has CSL XO. This SLC has CSL XO. This has XOV4, that has XOV5. Actually, I guess this has XOV XO5 now. I originally did it with XO4. The Honda has white diamond. The gray Mini currently doesn't have anything, but that's going to get Armor's Pro coating on it. But I ended up with like a bunch of coatings to test all at once. And like, I already have a bunch of coated vehicles and it's really hard to test a coating. And I thought about like going around my neighbors and asking them if I could do their cars. Because the problem is you just do some random car for somebody, like as a buddy, a coworker, or whatever. Then you don't get to like do the follow-up tests and see how does this actually work? How does it hold up? How does it withstand, you know, washing it once a week and stuff like that? And a lot of people, like, they run their cars through car washes, and a car wash can just destroy a coating. Like SFN, which is Koch Chemie's product that they use for car washes, is like pH 12 or 14 or something crazy like that. And I guess what I'm saying is, like, I had all these coatings here and I want to make sure that I'm doing a good job of testing them. I wound up getting a coating from Cerakote for free for testing, 2 different coatings from White Diamond free for testing. I had already had 2 of my cars coated with CSL XO before any of that happened. And then I got the Armor Pro coating, the Armor regular coating, the quartz coating. And now I had a conversation with Ivan LaCroix. He's sending me their new C6 Hydro. And I only have 1 car that needs a coating right now. So it becomes a little difficult to test the coatings. So the whole thing with Micah, he just bought a new car. It's 2021 GLC300, has 30,000 miles on it. He's the second owner, it's a lease return. And he's, you know, an OG follower, watches the Rag Company, into, you know, DIY detail and a lot of these other things. He's like me, right? He's obsessed. He has a small garage right now because he's living in a townhome until he finds a permanent home. He's trying to buy a house, but he's living in a townhome right now. He only has a 1-car garage. So he doesn't have a lot of room, and he's got a lot of his stuff stored in that 1-car garage. So it makes it not really usable as like a good wash space. So, you know, I'm helping him out. He's he came over to my house a couple weeks ago with his BMW wagon and replaced a bunch of cooling things, you know, radiator, a bunch of hoses, water pump, etc. Because he's having some issues with these plastic fittings that they have on the lines failing. And then he bought this GLC 300, and I shot him a text message like immediately when I knew that he had, you know, pulled the trigger on it. I was like, hey, next weekend, come by, let's do a paint correction and put a coating on it. I'll give you the coating. It's going to be a win-win because you're going to get a coating, I'm going to get somebody to help me apply it, and I'm going to get to test this product that I don't really have a great means to test right now because I don't have a car to put it on. So he's like, I'm in. So he showed up this morning. Now the paint on it was a little rough, ton of water spotting, a lot of work needed, but it gave me an opportunity. Like, I was sitting here on the Viper chair. He used the 5-inch Milwaukee all day, and I used my Mera all day because I only own 1 5-inch. So I just let him use the Milwaukee all day, which actually proved that the grease mod works because all day he did half a car with the polisher today. And, you know, it's probably running for 3-4 hours. And there's no issues at all. Like, it's not loud, it didn't blow up, there's no grease oozing out of it. Like, it actually held up really well, so I'm pumped about that. That was a good test of that. So I'm ready to wrap up the video on the grease mod now, which is awesome, and I'll release that soon. If I haven't released that before this video, it'll probably be after this video, honestly, because I have like 8 in the queue right now. But it let me, with the Mera, play around with a whole bunch of different polishes that I haven't messed around with. So I got to try out 3D ACA 500 and ACA 520, Last Cut Plus, 3D Speed, which is a 1-step, just a whole bunch of different stuff, and play around with things and see what I liked and didn't like and all of that. So that was really cool and a lot of fun. You know, it's a black car. Black cars are difficult to do. It's a Mercedes. Mercedes have really hard paint. Had a ton of water spotting, and you know, it's an SUV, so there's a lot of panels. So on this panel I did this, and on this panel I did that, and then, you know, some things I ended up doing 2 or 3 times because like the polish that I used didn't work out well or something along those lines. My favorite right now, my favorite compound is Rupes Blue, the coarse blue. There are a couple that are really close to it. Like, I like Jess Carr. I like this Last Cut Plus, actually works really well as well. I like them with a blue wool Rupes pad. And then for a finishing polish, I really like Koch Chemie Micro Cut, this stuff, M302. I tried ACA 520, I tried Sonic's Perfect Finish, I tried another finishing polish. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Rupes Fine, the yellow stuff. And all three of them left a little bit of haziness behind, like they didn't clean up fully on this black paint. And there was like just some, you could see some blockage to the depth. And I was using like a white wool or a white foam pad, like a regular Rupes white foam pad. And it's kind of the same thing that I ran into with the 2024 Clubman, where I had a trouble, like I didn't have an issue removing the defect, but I had an issue getting from like slightly hazy. Like I would go from, you remove the defect with a wool pad, you end up with a haziness, right? It's there. But then I would go to a finishing pad and a finishing polish and it wouldn't finish down. And I would end up with like some amount of defects that were left. And that was, it was just hard to get it to clean up 100%. But this on the 2024 Clubman worked amazingly well, to the point that I bought another bottle of it. And we actually finished up my whole first bottle today, and I'm about halfway through the second bottle. Maybe not halfway, I'm like down to the black line here, so maybe a quarter of the way through. But this stuff works really well. Really like it, very impressed. I think this is my favorite finish polish right now. I realize that not all paint is the same. On my silver Mercedes that's here, the GLC300, I have no issues with Sonic's Perfect Finish. It finishes up just fine. I don't have that haziness. But in darker colors, the black and the green, like the green Mini and the black in his Mercedes, I had a lot of problems with it. So it's one of those things. Like I did a bunch of test spots and I tested out, started off with Rupes Blue and the Micro Cut because I was like, well, these worked on my green car. And that was a German, dark paint, similar type of situation. Like, let's just try this out. And it worked immediately really well. So I just kind of handed those two bottles to him and I was like, have at it. Start working on the driver's side. I started working on the passenger side. And then I'm here messing around with, the 3D products, with Last Cut, with all these other things to see what worked. And at the end, like I did half the car with 3D and I was like, this looks good, actually. I was pretty impressed with it because it has a good working time and it's it works very well. But then he had my scan grip light on the other side of the car. I bring that over and I'm looking at it under the light and it's like, oh, there's still a little bit of haziness here. There's still a little bit of marks that haven't gone fully away. And then I stick Micro Cut on and the Micro Cut cleans it up, no problem. And then I do the next door with, I did the Last Cut compound and then went to Micro Cut as my finishing step and like no problems. So all that to say, I really like Micro Cut and I think that it's something that you should try out if you're, if you do polish regularly. It's not that expensive. They have one called Micro Cut and Finish, and then they just have Micro Cut. I've used them both, but Micro Cut and Finish has some polymers in there that leaves like a wax or protection behind. So if you're doing a coating, you just want this. If you're doing just like a cleanup and then you're going to do drying aid or something else over the top of it, then maybe the Micro Cut and Finish is the one for you because there's some polymer behind. I've used both. They both work fine. Actually, what I use the Micro Cut and Finish for is if I'm doing a paint correction this week, but then I'm going to do like my ceramic coating application next week, like if I have to break it up, then I'll use the Micro Cut and Finish as my finish polish, let it completely finish up, and then, a week, 2 weeks, whenever I get to the coating, I'll go and I'll use a panel wipe to remove that protection, and then I'll apply the coating. You just don't want polymer on there because it's going to reject the coating. You want to make sure that the polymer is off before you apply the coating so you don't have any issues with that. I'm probably going to go place an order with a rag company. We used up a lot of my pearls today because, when you're doing a coating, you kind of throw those towels away. I'm down to 12 pearls left, maybe even less. Maybe it's 10. I think we opened up the last pack and it's a 12 pack. So I definitely need more of those. I'm probably going to order like 60 of them. And then I told Micah, let me know if he wants anything from Rag Company Wholesale and I'll get him something. So I guess that goes for you guys too. If there's something that you are interested in, shoot me an email, Jeff at Improved Garage. I'll see what I can do. I have a wholesale account from the Rag Company. There's a $500 minimum order. There's also, shipping costs and other stuff like that. The discounting isn't, massive, but if you're buying a bunch of stuff, it could probably make it worth your while depending on what you're looking to get. I have some things that I'm probably going to blow out. I'm working on creating a website. it's there, it's not perfect, and I want it to be a little bit better before I kind of make it public. It's just improve-garage.com. But I'm gonna start selling some of my overstock towels and stuff like that on there, because like every time I place an order from the rag company, I have to buy, you know, $500 worth of stuff. So I end up with like piles and piles of towels, as you can kind of see behind me here. Like those are all car wash towels, they're called. And they're green. They're I think they're 17 by 24 is the dimension. I use those. I call them my multi-purpose towels. They're sitting here. And then there's another actual pack here. And then I've got a bunch of edgeless 300s, which the edgeless 300s I use for polishing. And you can see there's like none on the shelf right now because they're all in my bucket. But they go bad. I throw those out. You know, I go through them as I'm cleaning up cars. But that's my last, this one on the left here this is polish underneath it. It's really not, it's my coating towel, and I'm out of those. DIY Detail just came out with a bunch of new rags that I'm interested in trying out. Ivan, you know, let me know about them. I'm waiting for some of those to come back in stock. Their inventory is hard to maintain right now. I'm also interested in trying out Microfiber Madness. I've heard good things about their stuff. I think that it's a little expensive, so I probably don't want to use them for polish and coatings, but maybe for washing, drying, you know, some of the towels that last a lot longer. I do have a ton of both of those though, so I'm probably not in a position to do that right this second. After using the Mera all day, the Mera is awesome. I love that thing. Like, I realize that a 5-inch is more efficient, but I did half a car with it today, and I don't know if Micah wasn't here, if I would have picked up my 5-inch anyway. Does that make sense? Like, the Milwaukee is a great 5-inch, you know, as far as 5 inches go. I think that it works really, really well. But the Mera is so incredibly quiet. Like, I'm sitting here, I've got the music playing and stuff like that. Like, I was listening to Spotify, I had a bunch of different stuff. Perfect Circle, just a whole bunch of stuff playing on Spotify all day long. And the Mera is so quiet that you can just listen to music at like a normal volume. You don't have to crank it up, you don't have to wear headphones, it just goes. And that was awesome. And then, you know, Mike is on the other side of the car, so I'm over here, the speakers are behind me, I'm working on the passenger side of the car right in front of me, he's on the driver's side of the car, and he turned on the Milwaukee polisher, and then like that was the interruption. That was louder than the polisher that was in my hand, and he was on the opposite side of the car. I'm interested in trying out the Liquid Element stuff, so as soon as they become available on Obsessed Garage, I'm gonna buy one of each, the LE 5-inch and the LE 1-inch, and see how those work. I think as an entry-level polisher, those might make more sense than the Milwaukee, unless you're deep in the Milwaukee ecosystem already like I am. The Rupes is nice, but from what I understand, it requires the Rupes pads, which makes it not for everyone, and it requires the new Rupes pads, which not all of the Rupes pads were redone, just some of them were. The Cerakote thing was really interesting. Like, it's worth checking out. I don't know what the longevity of it's like. Like, it's been applied for a day, but the application was unbelievably easy. Like, way easier than CSL or XO or anything else that I've ever applied. Anything that I've ever applied, period. The working time was huge. There's no high spot, not a single high spot on that entire car. It was like impossible to have a high spot. You'd have to completely forget to remove it in order to have a high spot. Like, it's just nuts. But the 5-minute working time was a little hard to keep track of. So like, we're writing down parts of the car as we're going along. You know, roof 39, door and roof 41, front door 43. And these were like times. So like, I brought up a giant clock on my computer screen behind me, like big clock. And we were just like, you know, I would do a door and I'd look and okay, it's 22 after, I'd write down hatch 27. Okay, well now I know I have to take the hatch off, I have to remove it at 27 after the hour. Like, so, but what was interesting was you were able to do really large panels with no issues. So like, I did the entire hood on a Mercedes, and Mercedes hoods are huge. I did the whole hood all in one shot, on camera actually, and camera slows you down too. Like, it is nuts. So if the longevity of it is good, it's not that expensive, and the way that they package it is actually interesting too. So it comes in this box, but they actually give you 2 bottles. So this is 2 30 milliliter bottles in one box, and I think it's like 99 bucks. So you can do a car and then do another car on another day. Because when you open up a ceramic coating, it goes bad after a length of time. But if you don't open it up, the shelf life is really long on most ceramic coatings. So anyway, this wasn't supposed to be a commercial for Cerakote. I don't even have an affiliation. I don't have affiliate links, so you buy it directly from them. Like, it was actually a really good experience applying it today, I guess. So if you're interested in trying something new out, it's cool. And I'll talk about the longevity of it. We'll bring the GLC back here after a couple weeks and we'll do a wash and we'll see what the hydrophobicity of it is like and how it works out and what Micah thinks of it. I'll ask him on can't run. Oh, something else that you might see in the future. So he has a DJI Mini 3, the drone, Mini 3 Pro, I think is what he has. I have the desire to need a drone for something. I think is the best way to describe it. I think the drone is cool. He was flying around today and it was neat. I'm trying to think of things that I would use it for on a regular basis to justify the purchase, because they're like, you know, you can get a used Mini 3 for about $400 on eBay. A new Mini 4 is $700-800, it seems. And the Mini 4 has a lot of advancements over the Mini 3, so I would probably go for the Mini 4. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait a bit and try to find one of those used and see if I can score one for like $500-600. But just, you know, he was flying around here today, taking pictures of my solar panels on my roof and stuff like that. So I'll be able to use those for the solar video, which I haven't even shot yet because we're not connected to, well, we're connected, but we're not allowed to sell back to the grid yet, which is a whole nother story that I'll get into in the solar video. So this is the other plumbing thing that I was kind of talking about earlier. So the regulator that failed is right here. This is outside of my house, and this pipe that's down the bottom there was actually buried underground. I didn't even know that it was there. So what I found was this area stayed wet, and I couldn't figure out why. It turns out that there was a 90 that was buried in the ground here. So this came out. So city water's at the bottom, goes up. This is the entrance into my house right there. That's where water goes into my house. And there's a quarter turn valve to turn everything off. Well, below that, they put this T, and they came out with a 3/4, and that 3/4 goes to a PVC, which you can see here. It was like a loop kind of that went around. In that loop, there was a 90-degree elbow that had a leak in it, and it was spraying water out. So I dug it up and it just stayed wet. I ended up with a giant pond here. So basically I was able to get this valve shut off, but they buried the valve. So like it's awful. It's broken. It's really bad. So what I ended up doing was plumbing this in. I had my hose spigot here. So I put a T here. I'm actually gonna hang a hose reel on the wall where one used to be right here anyway. But hose reel there, that'll connect to this. And then I drop this down below the line, and I just wrapped it in this foam, not because of insulation, but because the PVC will break down in the sunlight. So I actually have to put something like a cap over the top here. But like I said, you know, the joys of home ownership. So let's turn this on and see if it leaks. And it didn't. Well, heck yeah. I guess I don't suck at plumbing. I gotta get some gravel, fill this all in with gravel, clean this out. There's a drain here, but it's like, it's buried underground. So these are just kind of the joys of home ownership. I've owned this for, you know, I lived here for 7 years, but I've only owned it for a couple months, and I never knew this grate was even here. Just did a rinseless wash on the Passport. The ceramic coating actually held up really well for it. Good beating action. It's pretty good. I'm starting to like rinseless a little bit more as time goes on, especially dealing with, you know, having a son. But it came out pretty good, as you can see. I'm really liking Hero. I think Hero is my favorite for washing cars, and I think that N914 is my favorite for like cleaning countertops and stainless and stuff like that. Washing some rags. These are rinseless, polish, general washing. Put my pads in here too. Anything that's ceramic just gets thrown out. I usually use rags to riches. So for one this size, we'll do 2 ounces. And basically I soak first. So I put this on soak, hot, heavy, run it. It'll run for a couple hours, and then I'll come back and wash it on a power wash cycle with 1 ounce in there. Too bad. Some YouTube. Picked up a different monitor. I don't love it. I love the LG and the clarity of text and all of that stuff. I don't love the lack of curve. So I'll talk about that later. I have a different one coming I'm gonna try out. I have a tile that came down. I have to rehang that. It's weird. Feltrite gives you these strips that go on the backside to hang it, squares. You can see they stick to the ceiling, but they don't stick to the tile very well. So anyway, went from 2 monitors to 1. I like the single 49. It just needs to be a little bit more curved. So coming soon. Get caught up on YouTube. I have this. Looks like there's a donut video. I've already watched the DDE one. And then this one isn't out yet. I like DIY details videos, but they put them on YouTube way too early in my opinion, because they end up in my watch later for a long time. So we'll watch this, watch my G, got a couple shorts. Just gonna work on editing some videos and getting some content ready for the week. It's Monday afternoon, 2:40. So got a couple more hours left before I go back to work tomorrow. Just kind of relaxing all day. I've washed 2 cars this weekend. Maybe I'll do a third, but probably not. The 2 minis both aren't that dirty. But I watched the Mercedes on Friday and I washed the Honda today. Got the Cerakote ceramic video done, which is awesome. Finished up the Milwaukee grease mod video. Did a video on an Autel OBD2 scanner. Put a couple things on eBay. So overall, fairly productive weekend, but I, did stuff, probably like half of it. I spent a good half of it kind of sitting here working on videos or watching YouTube, or I was actually reading one of the owners of Shit Audio, SCHIIT. Jason Stoddard has this like book that he's writing on HeadFi, which is a forum, and every 2 weeks he does a new passage, and it's been going on for years and years and years. So I read like another year's worth of those passages. All right, so this is done running. Open it up, it'll drain, but this is my soak. So usually what I'll do is I'll grab one of the worst rags, like this guy's stained blue, open up my dryer, and I'll use this to clean out the barrel, just to keep the residue from the dryer sheets that I normally use on my clothes from getting attracted to my towels. Okay, just like that. Turn at the door. And then now it's time to actually wash these. That first one was a soak, which helps all the heavy stuff, the ceramics, the polishes, all that. So 1 ounce. Do power wash and go. And this will be a house cleaning rag. So I'll stick it in there with dirty laundry. It'll go through the next load. Idea being not to contaminate the rags with all of the fabric softener stuff, which clogs up the fibers. All right, rags in the dryer. I do delicate, lowest temperature, not air only, but that one. And run. And then when I'm done, I'll end up doing probably a time drive for like 30 minutes. Welcome to Wednesday. So I think I'm about ready to wrap up this video. I washed the Mini last night using the Koch Chemie Blue line, which is the next one that I am going to be testing out. I received this package from Ivan LaCroix today, actually. C6 Hydro, as well as APP, Adhesion Promoter Polish. This is Restore and Protect plastic, and a rotary jeweling pad. I also ordered one of their rotary polishers, so that was sent to me for free for testing. But I ordered one of their rotary polishers to try it out because I've never used a rotary before, and I thought it might be fun. The Mercedes here gave Jessica a light about low coolant today. Mercedes use a small amount of coolant. I've always found when you're beating on them, you can smell a little bit of it. I don't know where it uses it from, but it's not down a lot. It's just a small amount, but it uses specific coolant. It's this G40 Mercedes-Benz VW Porsche mix. So under the hood, there are actually 2 coolant reservoirs, one here, one there. And the way that you check the level is by the pin there. You're supposed to be kind of over the top of it when it's cool. So it's not down a lot. If you look at the side of the reservoir there, it's a little deceiving, but it's down maybe, I don't know, 2 inches. Has 25,000 miles on it, something like that. So you can grab a funnel here and we'll put this in. Just using one of these paper funnels, like a one-time use deal. Sometimes that's easier than having to like clean up when you're done. I have a coolant funnel, but so here we are. It's actually time for a service on this anyway. So I've never topped off the coolant before. It's always been kind of slightly low every time I do a service, but it's never been like low enough that I've been worried about it. That white thing is kind of like the min max line, the top versus the bottom. So put a cap on this. Looks like I used about less than a quart. So I'm not even a quarter of the way down, and the handle's on the top here. So that's not bad. And then I also had, this has a hydraulic reservoir here. So I checked everything out because it, put a notice up for like check coolant level. So this is the hydraulic reservoir. And I'm saying hydraulic reservoir, not power steering reservoir, because power steering is a part of it, but there's also hydraulics for the roof that goes down. And it's just very slightly, like we're at the min line for the cold when it's hot. So again, we're down just a tiny amount. So this actually took me a bit to figure out what it needed. The SLC300 doesn't list a power steering fluid on Mercedes-Benz, FCP, ECS, I don't know, a bunch of different places. It doesn't list it. So I figured out that it's actually because they're referring to this as a hydraulic fluid that is feeding the hydraulic system.
And the hydraulic system includes the roof as well. So this is Pentosan CHF11S, which meets Mercedes-Benz approval 345.0, which is what you're supposed to have. And it wasn't down by a lot. It's just a tiny amount. So we've got this just kind of a measurer here, little dipstick. So we'll put this on, pull it out, see where we are. Okay, car's warm right now. So I think we're good on that. Just top that off a little tiny bit. And I used, hardly anything. I barely had to add, but I figured why not? We want to take good care, especially this. It's hers. I don't need her to be stranded or have issues. And we bought this thing new, and every single thing that's been done to it has been done by me. So it's never been anywhere for a service, other than they replaced the seat under warranty, the seat back of the driver's seat. But everything else is good. So our coolant level is now good. Our brake level was always fine. The other coolant level was fine. So that's really it. This does need a B service, so I'll be doing that on video soon. B1, which is going to be engine oil, oil filter, air filter, cabin air filter, and then I think that's it. It's hard to keep track of. I got to look in the Mercedes-Benz manual and see. Anyway, so that's that all wrapped up. You can see the covers are back on, nice and tight. But yeah, if you're looking for power steering fluid for an SLC, it's not power steering fluid, it's hydraulic fluid. And anything that's after 2014, so like once you get out of like the W204 series and get into the newer body style, like this SLC is a 2020, so it'd be like 2016 on for the SLC, or 2016 for a GLC, the new GLE, which I think was 2016 as well. The C class, I believe, was 2015. That one switched earlier. They use hydraulic oil instead of power steering fluid. It's listed as power steering fluid, but it's Mercedes-Benz 345.0, and it's technically listed in Mercedes shop manual as hydraulic fluid because it runs the convertible top and other hydraulic systems in the car too, not just the power steering. So I know everybody's waiting on, well, I mean, I've been waiting to put a ceramic coating on my 2016 Mini Cooper, the JCW here. I have Armor's Pro Coating. I now have C6 as well, so I have to figure out which one I'm going to put on it because they're like two of the best, according to everybody that you talk to. And then today something interesting happened. I had a shout out to Ricky, you know who you are. But I had a person who reached out to me on Instagram. Actually, he was the one who brought up the Adams bucket to me. But he reached out to me on Instagram, and we've been chatting about a bunch of different things back and forth. And he introduced me to the person who owns Phoenix EOD, or runs Phoenix EOD, Aaron. And Aaron is actually sending me a bunch of Phoenix EOD stuff to test out. So I still have Action Products. I still have some Armor. I still have Renew. I still have Monkey Head. I still have Purist. I just got an email that my glove box has shipped. So I've really got to start ripping through some of these products. So you might start seeing 3 videos a week, maybe even more than that are detailing, some of them are going to be detailing specific. I think I'm going to try to, I don't know. I don't want to inundate people with content that they don't like and get to a point where like people are unsubscribing because of it, if that makes sense. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I've got a lot of stuff that I need to do. There's going to be a solar video coming out soon as I can get connected to the grid. That's been super annoying. I guess I can talk about that a little bit. It's going to be on video at some point soon. But to make a long story short, I went with a company to install my solar based on recommendations and reviews and different things like that. And
for the most part, I've been fairly happy with their work. Like the actual installation went very well. They did a great job here installing the equipment. The work is tidy, the mounts are clean, everything looks good. I like where they put everything. They worked together with me on the design. Like all of that stuff was cool. What I've been struggling with is call it the paperwork section of the project. So there's I use PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, for my electricity provider, and then I did Tesla Powerwalls. And one of the reasons I specifically went with Tesla Powerwalls is because they have this fast approval process that they've built, because they build their own transfer switches, they have inverters built in. It's kind of like an all-in-one self-contained solution. So you can get approved faster, you can get connected to the grid faster, and you can get producing faster, and all of that stuff matters to me. Because when you sign a solar proposal, and I'll get into the numbers, here in detail, but like, I signed the proposal in March. It got installed at the end of April. My first bill is due on the loan for the solar panels in June. So the goal was to not have an electric bill in May and not have an electric bill in June, and that would allow me to not have to pay for, not be double paying, like not be paying the solar bill while I'm also paying for electricity, if that makes sense. And that kind of happened, but my connection to my panel got delayed by 3 weeks because the paperwork got submitted too early, and then PG&E came out to install my transfer switch, and the transfer switch wasn't here for them to install it. So then they put me on hold, and the company thought that they were just going to come back out automatically, my solar company, but they didn't. So then I had to call back in as a consumer and say like, hey, where the heck are you guys at? And they said, oh, we marked that the equipment wasn't there. Is it there now? I'm like, yeah, it's been here for a week. So then they scheduled me, and the earliest they could do was 2 weeks later. So I lost 3 weeks of production for myself. So since then, I think my installation of that was May 7th. Today is May 27th, 28th, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So since then, I've actually been off the grid the entire time. Like I have been 100% self-sustaining with the exception of like 2 hours on a Saturday. My electric bill for like the first 10 days of the month is $145, and my electric bill since then has been like $2. So I owe them like $147 for this month's electric bill, which might seem like a lot to people that don't live in California, but my electric bill on average is somewhere in the $400 to $500 a month range. Again, I'll get into this in the video a little bit more, but our rates are really, really high. It's not that our usage is high, it's that our rates are high. So then I'm connected to the grid, which means I can use my own electricity, but I can't sell back to the grid yet. There's something called right to export, permission to export, which I don't have yet. So basically what happens is once my batteries get full in my power walls start shedding power, and the solar panels just aren't producing. So at like 2 o'clock every day, my solar system stops producing, and that power is just going to waste essentially. And you don't make a lot of money for selling power, but like it's probably 20 kilowatt hours a day at 8 cents a kilowatt hour, somewhere thereabouts, 5 cents a kilowatt hour, so it's like $1 a day that I'm losing, which like again in the scheme of the numbers that we're talking about is a small thing, but it's just annoying. And like this is 7 o'clock, like I would still be producing. I'm still producing right now. I'm not producing a lot, I'm producing like 3 kilowatt hours, but you can see there's the sun. So yeah, that's kind of annoying. I'll get into it in detail. I think that they maybe just need a little bit more attention to detail. I'm thinking the project manager might just be a little bit overwhelmed, and he missed some paperwork in his mailbox that got returned to him by PG&E. There was a problem, an error on the paperwork. It got kicked back to him, and then he didn't know it for a month until I called them, and then finally it was like, oh, okay, well, let me get this fixed. So he got it fixed. He sent it back to them, and then they had another issue, and then he sent it back to them, and they had another issue. His subsequent turnarounds were like 24 hours or less. But anyway, I don't think it should take 4 submissions to get a form done by somebody who does forms for a living, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's an unreasonable thing for me to say. So this Brabantia hamper that I really like, actually, if you're looking for a nice hamper for your garage, it's recommended. It's been out here for 2 years, not even rusted, and it's full of stuff all the time. It's got some holes in the bottom of the bag. And I don't know why. It's not mice though, because I don't have any there's no mouse crap or anything in there. So
I'm guessing that it just got ripped from me having too much stuff in there, so I ordered another bag. Bag is like 20 bucks. So got a new 60-liter bag. Gonna put that in here. I hope people don't find these videos boring. If you do, be nice, but comment down below. I don't know, I did that day in the life video and a bunch of people commented that they liked it, wanted to see more like it, so I figured, oh, well, maybe I'll just have the camera follow me around more often. It is a lot more to edit than your standard video because you end up with a lot of footage. Like, I think I had 6 hours on the last one or 8 hours on the last one that turned into an hour and 45 minutes. This one I think is gonna be like an hour. Thank you for watching. If you've gotten this far, God bless you. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, do all those things, and have a great day.